Okay, good evening, everybody. I think Malar is not on the audio, so let me just cue people. Hmm, just give me a moment. I'll ask them to enable audio. Okay, so good evening, everybody, and yep, thank you for joining. So we'll start. We'll start with a small introduction of open learning and about Aarohi from my side, and then we can kind of move on to Sanjay and Nikitha, who are there with us, and share. They will share their journey with us, and we can ask them lots of questions. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So where I want to start as a quick introduction to both open learning and to Aarohi is that where we started. So we started our journey asking this the simple question: what is the purpose of education? And I think it's a very important question because we normally just take everything by default. You know, the child has to go to school, and whatever, the child has to do this, the child has to do that, and so on. So it's like unless we question ourselves as to not question the system, more question ourselves, what do we really want? So when we ask this question, we have started thinking, hey, do we want education for is it about learning, is it about earning, is it about job, career? What is this education all about? And the answer, at least for us, when we started asking question, was that it is to live our lives, and which means, first of all, education isn't for a certain number of years, it's gonna be there for whole life, and we will continuously learn. And also it meant that um, uh, if it is life, then it isn't separate from what I do in my day-to-day living. And if it is not separate, then the obvious question is, who should decide what I do in that? Who should lead my life? And if the child has to lead the life anyways, so then the child should be the leader of life at any age. In fact, when we look at toddlers, 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, they're so fiercely leading their own life. They know exactly what they want, when they want, and they want it. They kind of demand it. And I'm sure Nikitha can talk about that. Both the children want something, then they want it. They're like pure leaders, right? And when we start thinking of children as leader for themselves, that's the whole idea of open learning. We kind of come across four thoughts. So I'll quickly run through those thoughts. The first one is, we don't really need to bind them with a curriculum because they can decide what they want to learn. They're exposed to a whole wide world, and they can pick and choose whether they want to draw, whether they want to run, whether they want to climb a tree, whether they want to learn a language, and so on. And the second proposition is that because they are deciding, they can figure out how they want to learn. Not just they decide what to learn, but how they want to learn. They can seek a teacher if they want somebody to teach them, or they can learn from a peer, or they can learn from internet or whatever, books, by doing, so many ways, right? So we don't really need to teach them. That's the second thought that comes to our mind. The third one comes that if they are the one who are deciding, if they are the one who are figuring out how they want to learn, then why do we need to assess them? As in, why do we need to run them through tests and marks? And why can't we just let them use their own ability to think, to reflect back, and also use their own peers and adults around them? Yeah. And finally, we also started thinking, hey, it's not necessary, mandatory, compulsory for everybody to get into a school or a college or a degree. One can live their life either without degrees or with degrees, depending on what the child wants to do. So the child can again decide what they want to do. That's the basic thoughts of open learning, giving their life as a choice to them. Let them lead it, given that we are all with them, all the time, which is where not only this little saying, it takes a whole village to raise a child. So we obviously, the family is there to support the child, but that is where Aarohi comes in, where we start thinking, hey, can we provide, can all the families come together, and can't we create a community where we all supporting each other, children of different ages, adults of different ages, and then they can actually lead themselves. And not just they lead themselves, they make connections with different people, with different age people, not just with their, let's say, a 7-year-old making connection, not just with another 8 or 9-year-old, but also with a 19-year-old and a 49-year-old and so on, and a 4-year-old. So a lot of connections happen, and children work then with varying teams of different sizes, shapes. They collaborate with different people. And one of the other beautiful things that happen other than collaboration is a lot of collateral learning, where we kind of learn because somebody else is doing, so we kind of get exposed to that. So that is collateral learning, which rubs off just because people in the environment are doing it. And finally, when we can look at the whole world as our coach, as our mentor, it could be, again, another peer mentoring me or a parent mentoring me. And the parent need not even be my parent. It could be any parent. So that is how we have looked at Aarohi, where, we work, we live, we interact with each other, and we also lead ourselves. So it's us. It's like me leading myself within a community, a group where we can connect with each other. So that's the Aarohi for you. So with all the ingredients of open learning mixed with a community living. Yeah. So I want to quickly end this because I want to give maximum time to Nikitha and Sanjay to talk. I want to just show a very quick video of Aarohi. This video just shows what kind of happens in Aarohi. So this is just a short video. Let's watch. Just one moment. I think the audio is not enabled, so I'll just stop sharing and share again. Yeah, some problem with the audio. Now I think it should work.
Connecting with people is amazing.
I like chit-chatting with my friends while eating.
An opportunity to take all the guests around the tour, around the campus.
Currently, I'm working on improving myself so that I can play in a club next year.
I get resources and support to fulfill my passion for sketching.
I sketch many things of animals, birds.
In Aarohi, I am a guest and I can find my space here, pursuing my interest on upcycling.
I drum to express my emotion and it makes me feel lighter. In bird watching, I learn a lot of things. What is color of bird, and
I like the time when I spend with the community playing sports.
I spend time doing projects related to cinematography and video editing.
I like organizing trips in Aarohi क्योंकि your opportunity is to organize trips.
video making is awesome. It's productive and you get an awesome outcome.
I like to do electrical work. I've put many.
I connect with the planning here, gives me clarity.
I like playing with the cats. I learn crochet and teach others crochet.
எனக்கு சமைக்கிறதுக்கு இங்க ரொம்ப பிடிக்கும்.
All the resources here are new to me to explore.
Okay, so over to Nikitha and Sanjay. What I want to tell everybody is that let's spend about the rest of the hour till 6 o'clock with Nikitha and Sanjay and ask them, first listen to their little journey, and then we can ask them questions. So give them a little space before you start asking them questions to present their thoughts, and then we can ask them questions. And then if you have questions specific to Aarohi, I'll just request you to hold them on. And once we have kind of interacted with them, and then we can move on to specific questions. So I will hang around after 6 to answer all your questions specific to Aarohi. But right now, let's explore open learning with this wonderful family of open learners. Over to you, Nikitha and Sanjay. You can share your screen and
Ratnesh, you're just sharing. Give us.
yeah, sure. So while they figure out the sharing part, let me say that for me they're not open learners, they're open whatever living family, right? Open living more than open learning. That's the way I look at them. Over to them to share their story. You can share your video also while you are talking. That would be really nice, Sanjay. So just on your video also.
How do I do that?
No, you can just leave your video on in Zoom. Is it on?
The video is on. Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
You're not able to see it?
Let's go back to the screen. Okay, maybe you are sharing the full screen, but let's see. Now we can see it.
Yeah. Now it's fine?
Not really. No, when you go to screen sharing, somehow your video is getting switched off. Okay, let's not waste too much time on it. Let's get on with this presentation, and maybe once we go into the question and answer, that time we can switch off the presentation and just your video. I hope that's okay with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have two children. Kabir 7 years and Kia is around 4. She's going on. So when Kabir, when he was around 2 years old, we were still figuring out whether which school we need to put him in or what do we do. We had never heard of this term of homeschooling or open learning that time. So we went exploring to different places, and I think we went to Chennai, Bangalore, and visited people who were involved in homeschooling. So initial perception everybody had was that what is homeschooling is that you bring the curriculum home. So we were not sure how that will work with us. And then towards the end, we reached Aarohi. And when we met Ratnesh and Aditi there, we were exposed to open learning, and we really liked the concept there, where the curriculum is not brought home and the child decides what they want to learn and where they want to take their learning and how to take it forward. So right around then, I had done a permaculture design course where I was exposed to this particular statement. So you can see it on the screen. It's like this statement hit me very hard. Like, the only ethical decision is to take responsibility for your own existence and that of your children. This was given by one of the founders of permaculture. His name is Bill Mollison. So that made me take this extreme step of open learning and going against the tide. So he was one of our major inspirations to take open learning forward. So I was exposed to these 3 ethics: earth care, care for people, and fair share. So we were thinking like, how do we so that some sort of purpose up to life. And once we visited Aarohi, Ratnesh gave us a very good orientation on how open learning, how that curriculum is not such a very mandatory requirement when you're talking about open learning. So the reason why we picked up open learning was that we never saw any need for any certification from any institution. We never saw any value in that, and there was literally a rat race going on. So we never wanted to be a part of that rat race. So we realized that the institutions were literally training the children to, take instructions and make them sit in a factory or a corporate setup and train them to basically take instructions. And we also did not like the competitive environment which was existing in our education institutions now. So it was more about competing than cooperating with everybody. So, and one more thing was that children are made to sit quiet around throughout the day, which is totally against their basic instinct of socializing. So children literally love to socialize throughout the day, and looking at our institutions today, all they tell throughout the class is like fingers on your lip and don't talk to anyone. Whereas children love talking throughout the day. And one very important thing which we were coming across was people used to ask us, what about discipline? What will you do about discipline? So after kind of reading a lot, we figured out that that discipline in schools was, they were achieving discipline by creating a kind of a fear, like if you don't do this, you will have to face a particular consequence. So it was because of the fear which the children were showing a sort of a discipline in school. So once the school period is over, the fear is gone and they are back to their the discipline is no longer there. So the entire concept of school instilling discipline in children was hardly there. Ratnesh, anything else you want to ask? This is a brief which.
No, please carry on. This is going good.
Yeah, fine. And when it comes to learning, we realized that after we attended Jagriti, our entire perception changed when it came to learning for children. So I remember before I attended Jagriti, Kabir used to ask me a lot of questions and I used to answer everything. And so after we completed Jagriti, it was, Ratnesh gave us a very good point, like you either give them all the information or let them figure it out themselves. So when after Jagriti, whenever I got a question, I used to help Kabir figure out the answer in 10 minutes by himself. Like I counter question him after every question and he comes to the answer. And, it takes a time. You need to spend some more time and reach to get the answer out of him. So that was one very big learning. And also, whenever he's into any activity, like when you know that it's not going in a very conventional way, so I try. We don't let him. We don't correct him or we don't tell him anything. We just let him fail, and so then he comes back and he tells us, yeah, this did not work because I did this. So we let him fail as much as possible, unlike any other educational institution where they highlight your failures. And as of now, our children are mostly into these activities. You can see he loves reading. He loves me reading books for him. He's still not picked up reading. He's completed his phonics and he's still picking it up slowly. And he attends maths and science classes through the week. And he has archery sessions, 4 to 5 sessions in a week. And he's very, very interested in Mahabharata and Ramayana. So I have been reading the Amar Chitta Katha books for him. And I have seen drastic change in his behavior once he's completed these 2 books. So whenever there is any incident at home, we try to correlate with some incident in the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. And even he tries to bring up if somebody's behavior is not to his expectation, then he tells, he compares their behavior to some character in Mahabharata or Ramayana. And he's also into Bhagavad Gita. So how I exposed Bhagavad Gita with him was that I never took him to any classes or never took him to any sessions, informal sessions. I just played the first few verses in loop for the entire week. And by the end of the week, he was just singing it and playing along and doing any other activity. So observation what I got from this was that children can pick up any song for that matter. If they are just listening to something, it doesn't even have to. They don't even need to know the language. So he never knew Sanskrit. He never knew even Hindi for that matter. So as of now, he's completed around 23 verses and he's able to recite the Bhagavad Gita. And throughout the day, he spends his time with Aarohi X, which is an online program where he interacts with other children from Aarohi, and he takes parts in some sort of clubs there, art club, and he is also involved in carpentry, and most of his time goes into playing. And what are the challenges we faced was when you compare him to the milestones which his children, I mean the children of his age in the current educational institutions, like let's say schools of his age, they would be very good in reading and writing. So we haven't been able to, we are not even trying to push reading or writing, and we are waiting for the time where he shows interest that he wants to start reading and he wants to start writing. So that is a bit slow. And we try to have some sort of reflection through the day. Like end of the day, we try to reflect on what happened through the day. This is one challenge which is still not yet achieved. And we try to let him plan what he wants to do throughout the day. So that is also still partly achieved, I would say. It's still halfway through, I guess. And for me, the biggest challenge is to find a balance between work and family time. So I'm not able to find the right balance, like whether I'm spending the app time with children or no, I'm not sure. And we are working on our anger managements as usual. Every parent's anger is something which we all have no control of. So that is something which we need to work on. And adapting to change is something where when we are at home or when we are at our center, Kabir is very comfortable. So let's say we go to some other place where he doesn't get his kind of food, or he's not getting what he's regularly used of. So it's very challenging for him to get used to that kind of a place. So it's adapting to that atmosphere is taking a bit of time. So we need to work on that. So what are the takeaways from open learning for us? So what I understood was, like, if you can observe the micro level, like let's say a child is into some sort of an activity, and the kind of observation which, if you start observing him very minutely, without any distractions, you will be able to make some connections. And if you want to initiate some other activity for him, you can, using these observations, you will be able to take him to the other activities. So there will be some particular thing which drove him towards a particular activity. So if you try to observe what drove him towards it, so you will be able to guide him towards other activities also. And always be calm is something which we have learned. Like let's say children have tantrums or they have a bad day. So we all, I mean, what I've learned is like you just need to stay calm no matter what. That it was one key learning from Jagriti also. And one more learning was that if at all children are behaving in a particular way which is not acceptable by the parents, what we need to do is, like, we need to look at ourselves, what we have done that has brought out this behavior, because they literally mimic us. So they are literally our mirror. So if they are doing something which is not acceptable, you need to look at yourself, like what have you done that has brought out this behavior, and what can change which is not acceptable for you. And one more thing what we learned from this from open learning was, like, we try to follow the child's interest. So if Kabir or Kia is showing a particular interest in some particular activity, we only concentrate on that for the next whole week or till whenever they show interest in that. We don't try to change it to our requirement. Like, we may want some particular, we may have a particular interest, so we don't try to put it on them. And one more very, very important takeaway I got was that I could negotiate with Kabir. So initially his screen time used to be like 1 hour a day. So like 3 years back, it used to be 1 hour every day. So using negotiation, I brought it down to the weekends, like 2 hours on a weekends. And now as of today, we're on a 3rd year, and now it's only for 2 hours in a week. I'm talking about screen time in terms of entertainment. Otherwise, he uses YouTube for his learning purposes. And negotiation was something which I learned that you can actually negotiate with your child, and you don't have to threaten them or bribe them to get your way. You can actually negotiate with them and come to a joint conclusion that what you need to do about anything for that matter. And we are trying to concentrate more on life skills rather than academics. So as of now, we are concentrating more on maths and science, and trying to concentrate more on life skills, so that once he grows beyond a particular age, he would be able to learn anything for himself. Like once he starts reading, so if he wants to learn anything, he should be capable of learning by himself. So he should not try to be dependent on me or anybody else for that matter. So we're trying to reach that level where he can figure out anything by himself. Yeah, Ratnesh, I think I'm kind of done with the screen share.
Sure, very absorbing. So a little bit share about Kia's journey also, because the second child, how she has taken and how, so because mostly you gave from the perspective of Kabir, which is fair enough, but I would like to hear Kia's journey. Kia is now 4, right?
Kia is 4 plus.
4 plus,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Nikita.
So for Kia, it's observing and learning from Kabir and Vimal, who's our another friend of Kabir and Kia. So she observes them and she likes to be around them and learn mostly from them. If they are not around, she loves cooking and painting. So I am a baker, home baker. So she is most of the time with me in the kitchen, helping me make my breads or the cookies, or even cooking in any way. Like I let her use a knife to cut any vegetables that I'm making or a salad that I'm making. And she's very confident about doing it. She also likes washing clothes, cleaning up things and setting up things. So most of the time she occupies herself with those kinds of activities. Yeah, the bigger challenge that I faced with Kia is she loves attention. So if Kabir doesn't give her attention, then it becomes more challenging because he wants his space and she likes to get involved more in his space. So managing that is more challenging, and I need a lot of patience for that. We try to distract her and make her do other things which interest her, or even keep her around Kabir and let her do what she likes, and then she becomes a little more calm. And so she's more exploring in that.
And she
loves
always
also with Sanjay. So she reads more of these fairy tale books and short stories.
Right. In that sense, she's a fierce, self-directed learner and bosses over Kabir like anything, like any second child. Okay, so that was very absorbing. Thank you, Sanjay and Nikita. That was really nice, quick introduction into your life and your journey. And I'm really excited that you've covered so many different aspects, where you came ideologically from and how you are looking at, and even into a typical day and the challenges also. So that's a pleasant surprise to see such a wonderful presentation. Okay, so I will now right, the onus I will shift to the audience, people who have joined in. If you have questions for Nikitha and Sanjay, they are all ready to answer your questions. And so you can either paste it in the, type it in the chat, or you can come on the mic and ask, whichever way you feel comfortable. Just a request right now, just avoid Aarohi questions. Once we have covered all the questions we have for Nikitha and Sanjay, I will stay back and answer all the Aarohi related questions. Yeah, so that's just a request. So please go ahead and you can ask them their questions, your questions, sorry.
Hello, Nikitha and Sanjay. This is Anita here. And that was a very good presentation, and I like the challenges part of the slide, wherein the reality strikes us. Yeah. So I've started to learn about, get an exposure to open learning community. I'm new to this concept. So how do we go about convincing, the spouse who is not exposed to this idea? So how do we?
The easiest thing is to bring him to Ratnesh.
That's cheating. That's cheating. You can't do that, Sanjay.
Because that's what worked for me, right?
Okay, everyone has a different line of thoughts, no? So
yeah. So one way is to let them see some videos on YouTube. I'm not immediately able to think of some video, but
explore different places open learning space.
If you actually meet people who have who are practicing open learning, definitely the perspective will change. So how much ever we give, I mean, how much ever you give your opinion, unless you experience something, I don't think the perspective will change. So they have to see it in live. So if you bring him to Aarohi, even if you don't let him meet Ratnesh for that matter, if they just see the children there and how they are able to conduct their life there, I think it will make a huge difference.
Okay.
Aarohi or any other center.
Yeah, I would try that. And one more thing is, I mean,
Anita, can I add something to that?
yeah,
Um,
please.
So I'll add a little different perspective here. I would say, please don't try to convince him. In open learning, the beauty is that different people can have different opinions. If everybody had the same opinion, the world will not be an exciting place. That's the spice of life. So maybe let's start by saying, I don't need to convince anybody for anything. His opinions and way of looking at things is as beautiful as yours and as mine and as Sanjay's and as Nikitha. So we're just having different views and ways of looking at life, and let's embrace each one of them. Let's welcome each thought. And the point is that let's create more discussions. Let's talk about it more, not from the intention to convince anybody, but the idea is to churn, to think, to explore, to read, watch videos, as Sanjay was saying, and so on. That's the way I would look at it. So, and that is what open learning is to me, is to embrace everything as life, rather than trying to say, okay, things have to be my way. Then again, we are back to closed learning. If things have to be my way, then it's no more open. So that's the thought I wanted to share. Please go ahead with your second part, your second question. Sorry.
Yeah, I get it. So I'm taking him time, and I'm as well giving him time. Let him take some time and explore. And I think it will take time, so I'm okay with it. So I'm not in a hurry in that aspect. So my
Sure.
question is, I'm a working mother, and my husband is as well very busy with the demands of IT, and thanks to COVID as well. So how much of our time is needed in this kind of open learning sessions? Because as such, their regular school is putting us some kind of pressure, to put in more time of ours, now that we are partly schooling them. So that has happened in these online times. So how is it going to be in open learning? Is it more demanding from the parents' end, or can I leave them independently to learn on their own?
So I think the more environment is required for learning. So even if you're leaving them by themselves, an environment has to be created for them to explore and to learn. How much time is very subjective. We cannot really define. No, let's say Nikitha spends time in baking. So even if at all she wants, she can involve the children in her baking activities, and learning happens through that also. So throughout the day, the baking can happen and children are involved. So you don't take it like work. I mean, children generally are interested in whatever activity the parents do. Like, let's say, even if it's cleaning for that matter or any other home chore, they generally show an interest from a very young age. So if you kind of involve them in whatever work you do, I'm not sure if that will be allowed. If you're working in some IT company, I'm sure it's not allowed. But if you can figure out some sort of a job where some sort of a business or a home business which you can conduct, keeping the children also a part of that business, then I think things can work out, is what I think.
Yeah, thank you.
What I would like to add here is to what Sanjay, I think, is coming from, is that see, when we are looking at open learning, we are obviously looking at our children as very important part of our and their growing as very important part of our life. So I would say yes, meaning why wouldn't I make out time for them? Isn't that so beautiful? Aren't they an amazing gift for us? And wouldn't we like to spend time with them, for them, enjoy with them? Yeah, I would say Go ahead, reduce your work, man, and enjoy life, because that's what they're here for, right? Like how Nikitha and Sanjay are enjoying their life and enjoying their time with children. So yes, you will have to find the balance as in terms of time. You'll have to see how you do that, as Sanjay is suggesting. But I would say, yeah, why not? And also that doesn't mean that you can't work. Just the thing is that you have to plan it out, prepare it out, work it out with your child, where when you spend time with the child and when the child does a lot of things either on his or her own or with others in the community. And that is where the community comes into the picture. Yeah, so you can connect with a larger group where more people the child has to interact with each other. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to add. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Who else wants to?
Hi.
Yeah, Geeta
Yes.
wants to ask a
Yes.
question. Go ahead, Geeta.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having this meeting, and thank you so much, Nikitha and Sanjay, for sharing. I was really very happy to hear from you. You were so frank and so honest about the the anger issues and all that parents have, which is, I think, very right. Like, it's very difficult for them, and uh, I also like the takeaways that you were talking about. So my question, one question which I always have, and which I find very difficult to convince others, is like, as you very rightly said, that discipline based on fear does not work. Hmm? At least not for the long term. It is very short term, and once you take away the fear, they're back to where they were. So that change has to come from within them, right? So how do we develop it in children? Specifically, like how do we develop self discipline in children so that they make they have freedom, but they have a sense of responsibility also, and then they make safe decisions throughout their life. And that, I think, is a challenge with parents. Like, parents face this challenge, and how do we do it?
There is no straightforward answer to it, I feel. Now, discipline is very subjective. Some things which we feel are okay, but children feel are not okay. And sometimes they say, why can't I do this? It is basically, a discipline is a very invisible line which parents have set. So let's say Nikitha has some boundaries and I may have different boundaries. So we both have different expectations from the children.
Yeah.
So children generally cross those lines and we call them like they don't have discipline. Actually, I don't think that is true in any way. So there is no formula that how do you get discipline. Only I feel reflection is one of the very, very important ways to connect with the child. So when things don't go as per your particular plan, and you can have a talk with them at the end of the day or the following day about it, and tell them what you felt and what they felt also. So you both can discuss about it, and maybe next time you just hope that something doesn't happen like this again. But the minute you start telling them don't behave like this, that's how they will behave.
Yeah.
We try not to use that word, don't do it. So don't do it, or don't do this, or don't do that. Because it's like telling somebody don't think of a monkey and they will end up thinking of the monkey.
Yeah.
So it's
Even
something
artists are like that. So if we tell them don't do it, we naturally want to go and do it. So
yeah.
What I want to add, Geeta, here is that to me, children, and for that matter, everybody, is self-discipline. That's the only discipline we all know. Right. Just that we are not perfectly disciplined. Even I, at this age, I'm 52 years old, I'm horribly disciplined. Okay. But then it's a life journey to understand where I want to be disciplined, where I don't want to be disciplined. And I think I will die undisciplined. So that's okay. I'm not trying to be a perfect human being. And I think the moment we look at children not as some perfectly disciplined robots, but as alive individuals. So Nikita's son Kabir only calls me naughty because he thinks I'm very naughty. And in a day at least he will call me 20 times naughty. Right? So now you know who is naughty.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hi,
him.
am I audible to all?
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hi, Ratnesh. Yeah, this is an open question. Yeah. The decision to homeschool or to unschool or open school is usually starts from one parent. And two things here. Uh, does the consent of the child matters while taking this decision? Number one. Number two, whether one parent, predominantly it is perceived as the mother in our Indian parenting community, should be available at home along with the child uh, to have a sense of, I mean, to be morally and emotionally motivational with the child. Does the presence of a parent to be available at home always, I mean, not going to work, I mean, as a homemaker, a prerequisite for this?
Ratnesh, you're taking this question?
You can share your view first.
What happened is, like, you know, when we had to take a decision of homeschooling Kabir because he was the first child, I was not ready for it because he used to love watching TV through the day and only playing and playing and playing. I said, if I keep him at home, he'll start watching more TV. Then what will happen? But then gradually, you know, we started seeing children around us, people who were homeschooling and unschooling, and we tried for 1 year and we automatically saw that things were changing and he was interested more in the other activities and doing small things at home, or even playing with blocks or creating something with blocks. So that's where it started, like the decision of homeschooling for us.
And what Hare Krishna sir was saying, that about the mother being continuously there. So it doesn't actually have to be the mother. You just need a facilitator, somebody who can, like a child can approach the facilitator if they have some sort of a doubt or some guidance they require. So even if you have a group of 5-6 people, let's say there are 5-6 families who want to homeschool but don't know, but all 5 don't have time. This is just an out of the box idea. So each parent can volunteer for 1 day of the week to facilitate the 5 children. So it doesn't have to be that you have to give up your entire work life or something like that. So if you identify like 5-6 families who want to homeschool their children, you can have a place where you can take a space on rent or something, and one parent volunteers, or maybe 2 people volunteer every day, and you can have everybody gets their time, and only 1 day a week you need to come with their children. One very important thing here is, first thing they say is, I don't have a B.Ed to sit with the children, or I don't have a technical degree to sit with the children. Actually, that's not required. I think Ratnesh, can you take over that part, how to handle that?
One more interesting question he asked was, do we need to have the consent of the child?
Consent. Yes.
Depends on what age the child is. Actually, I am not even, that is it's a very tricky question. I keep coming up with this, people keep coming up and asking me these questions like, what if your child grows up and asks you, why you not send me to school? And I come up with a counter question. What if he'll grow up and ask me why I did not homeschool? So it works both ways. Consent, I'm not sure. If it's like a 4 or 5 year old, we can have a discussion. And even then, if the child says that I want to go to school, I would suggest that it is better to send him to school. But yeah, consent is required, I feel. Yeah, I think he has a point.
I think Ratnesh, you can touch more on that.
So let's not look at it from a consent non-consent perspective. Let's look at it that it's a family decision. And the moment you say it's a family decision, obviously the child is part of it. Even if the child is whatever, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years old, as in the child knows that I'm not aware that, let's say a 4-year-old is aware that I have an option to go to school where, see, other children are going, and I have an option of not going to school and being at home and doing things with, let's say, with my father or mother or whatever is your arrangement. So I think it's not about consent, it's about this journey together. And to me, every day of this journey, we are together deciding how we want to live tomorrow and today and tomorrow and so on. So when parents ask me, what if at the age of 20 years the child would say, why did you unschool me? I said that situation won't arise. We will ask that question every day, in the sense we are open to that question every day, and there is no force or compulsion on the point of a child to do anything. I'll give you a small example. We have a child called Avani and her parents, and there is a webinar which is recorded of how she decided at a certain, she was in Aarohi from 5 years to almost 8 years, I think. And then she decided that she wants to go to school. She decided, the parents didn't want her to. The parents wanted her to be part of Aarohi, but she wanted to go to school because she was seeing all the children in her neighborhood going to school. So she wanted to go to school, and she has gone to school for a year, and now she only has decided to come back to Aarohi. And right now, at this moment, she is in Aarohi while her parents are in Bangalore. So I'm saying I think when the child is the leader, then the child is even leading this decision. And obviously the family is together taking those decisions and supporting and guiding and discussing with each other. So it's a together journey. So yeah, I would look at it in that fashion. Yeah, I hope that kind of connects with your question.
Yes. To a larger extent, yes. And it is subjective as well to the family.
Yes, absolutely. And even to the question, I think Sanjay has already said, but does one's parent need to be at the home all the time? Not required. If you feel like, see, again, it's more a choice. If I feel like as a parent being at home, enjoying this learning journey with children, then why not? And or if I can enjoy it part of the day, or part of the day working, part of the day not work, meaning at home working with them, that's also fine. So again, there's no one formula to it. Each family has to evolve into their own style, and that style may also keep changing year to year, and so on. I think Dwiji wants to add something. Dwiji is also part of our community. Go ahead, Dwiji. We haven't seen you on video today. Yeah. A little volumeless, Dwiji.
Nikitha, Sanjay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, little better.
Great. So I was I was wondering about this. It is difficult, and I would like to think about this in terms of, if this, then what? Otherwise, what? Right. So the otherwise scenario should also be considered when we are weighing this, and it's not just about, oh, if I choose homeschooling, then I'll have to cut back on my work hours, right? Or I'll have to find a different kind of arrangement for my own self or my family self. So if you're not doing homeschooling, then what are you doing, right? So it's about also, like Nikita and Sanjay were mentioning, what are the value systems and what is the time that we want to spend with our kids, right? And decide what is more valuable for me today, and look at it from my personal perspective rather than that of the child. Does the child need anyone? Well, most likely they don't. As in, they need facilitators, but do they need one parent or both parents to be around all the time? Not most of the time, right? So what I'm trying to say is that the child, uh, we should get that confidence in ourselves and in our children, that we think about it from our perspective and not just from the perspective of the child. So I don't know if I've been able to convey. Yeah.
Yeah, your points again align with what Ratnesh and uh, Sanjay had mentioned. Yeah, it again rests with the child as well as, yeah, and it is subjective. Yeah.
Okay, we can have more questions. You can type it in chat.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Hema Mali from Salem. You hear me?
Yes, yes.
So I'm Hema from Salem. Like, I'm totally new to this concept of unschooling, but I had always been want to put my child into some sort of a different activity or alternative education. So that's when I came across Aarohi, and I'm here for the webinar. See, one thing about this Sanjay and Nikita is that both the couples, as a couple, they are together and they have taken a decision. And it's a very bold decision, I would tell, and they have taken it at a very earlier stage. So not that comfort all the parents can have, because the pressure of the family is also there for us to take a decision about unschooling or homeschooling, because the older parents at home, that is the grandparents, have a mindset that schooling is the only way of education. So as parents, we have to cross that barrier and then give it on to the child. So how do we cross that barrier from both family and the society when it comes to unschooling or homeschooling concept?
Nikitha and Sanjay, what about your extended family? How did they respond? Please share your journey.
So it is more of the society pressure and the family pressure we have before we take a decision for a child.
Absolutely.
So initially, my parents were very apprehensive.
Okay.
But they gave the freedom, like it's your child, you can take a call. Surprisingly, I got that freedom from them. I'm very happy about that. Even today, when we go somewhere and somebody from any educational institution is in front of us, my dad may bring that thing up. He's homeschooling. What do you think? He's still not sure, so he wants a second opinion from a third person. And everybody may have different perspectives. Some will say, yeah, very good. Some will say not good. And he's also still in between. He's like a cat on the wall. He doesn't know what to go. But it's only time will tell. You cannot even. There is no, there is no certificate which can tell, yeah, you are fine, or it's something which you believe in and you just go for it. I don't see any other option. And somehow you need to convince the elders by explaining to them about this. And this has this.
No, the point is they also pass on the fear to the child.
Yeah, so you need to empower the child.
So how did you overcome that fear?
I somehow did not have that.
We did not have anything like that. They were very cooperative and they let us do what.
No, they did not pass on any. Yeah. They did not pass on any sort of fear. I did not see that happen. But even if that happens, you need to empower the child, I feel, to handle that situation, because fear can be created by a lot of people around him, not only by the grandparents, by anybody. So the child needs to know that what they are doing.
No, I mean the entire society, because they see a big community going to school every day, and they may feel left out, right? That barrier I'm talking about. It's not about the elders at home. It's about the entire society.
Somehow my children never brought that up, and maybe once you take them to you expose the children to both the mediums, they would themselves tell you that we prefer this than that, and they will not have any other doubts. Because basically you are unique in such a way. You can either look at yourself as being unique or being weird. You need to choose.
Okay, thank you.
Also, one of the things, Himamali, that Sanjay mentioned earlier, I think, was travel. Meet more families. Because see, the numbers around your house going to school is very high. But the numbers around your house or around your circle doing unschooling or open learning or homeschooling would be very little. So the idea is to travel, meet people, go to different communities, and we can help you with that, meaning you can just write to me. I can share with you. I don't know if you know Nikitha and Sanjay personally. They are very much in Salem, so they are from Salem, so you can meet them in person purpose.
Okay.
As well as travel in many other cities. Go to Chennai, go to Bangalore, go to Mumbai. So meet people.
To that point, to add on, both parents should be available, right? Whereas I am busy with something and my husband is an IT person where he's full-time busy with his job. So the time we spend with children is very less. So that is the reason we send children to school, so that they get their education, academics, books and everything. As parents, we try to guide them. But when it comes to this concept, we are not able to give that 100% to the child.
That is what I'm saying. You don't need to, give them. There is no 100%, right? What you need to. One of the things with Sanjay and Nikitha shared was the first thing they shared was observe. When you observe your child, you realize the child doesn't need you all the time or need your presence, guidance all the time. The child can be led to explore where for what he needs or she needs guidance and mentoring. It could be another child guiding or mentoring. It could be another uncle or an aunt. It could be a grandparent giving a mentoring for a certain area. For example, if I'm having difficulty with let's say with something, let's say making something. Now, if a child is having a difficulty making a model, now not necessarily I have the skills. Right? Carpentry, for example. Now, I don't know whether Nikitha does carpentry. So if Kabir has difficulty with carpentry, I don't know if Nikitha is the right person to guide him. But then Nikitha can look around and see, okay, who is a more hands-on person who can guide him? So that's how open learning works. When you look at the whole world as a resource. Everybody is a resource. A shopkeeper down the road who's a carpenter is a beautiful resource for carpentry rather than, let's say, Ratnesh as a resource. So you start seeing the whole world as your school. Everybody is a school. Every place is an opportunity to learn. Every event is a curriculum, and so on. So I keep telling children that you are in the center of universe. The rest of the universe is exactly existing for you. Go ahead and take from the universe what you would like to take for your learning, your growth, your joy, and your life, your interests. So that's, I think once you start looking at it that way, then it's not like a big responsibility on us. In fact, we start playing smaller roles and let this larger community kind of start playing very interesting roles in our children's life. Yeah. So if today a child says, I want to learn guitar, I'll say, yeah, there's a YouTube. There are hundreds of uncles and aunties who have put hundreds of YouTube videos. Go ahead, enjoy. You don't need me. At best, I need to buy or get a guitar for you. That's it. Rest is your journey. And the child can start there, and later on at a stage, then the child needs more, specialized, you can say, mentoring. Then the child can go to a guitar teacher or a guitar guru and take it from there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Most welcome.
Hello, this is Bala.
Yeah, Bala. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I'm actually, I came a little late, 7 minutes, I guess. I don't know, you might have already explained about your school systems, how a normal day at your school and all those things. But if possible, can you please explain to me like how the normal day goes?
Yeah, I'll come to
like
Aarohi related. Yeah, Bala, if you're okay, we'll kind of see if there are more questions to Sanjay and Nikitha. And once we have finished their questions to them, then I can take questions about Aarohi. Yeah, so just hang around for some more time. And please rest assured, I'll answer all your questions and only then we'll end the call.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are nearing 6, but if Nikitha and Sanjay are okay, and if anybody else has a question, we can ask. Are you okay, Nikitha, Sanjay? For a little more time, if anybody has a question to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. So if anybody else wants to chat with them.
Ratnesh, Hare Krishna here. So how long they have been, Sanjay and Nikitha, they have been homeschooling their children? How many years?
Kabir has been homeschooling from 5 years, and Kia has never gone to a school.
So I think around, you can say around 3 to 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I will ask you a question, Sanjay. That this is more a question which is often asked to me, but I think you are better to answer. That is, a lot of people with younger children, like the age of Kabir and Kia, they ask this question that, okay, how do I start? Okay, I have a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old, and how do I start this open learning, right? Okay, I don't want to send him to school. So how do I start? And this year, this question has been coming from so many people after all this lockdown and on. A lot of people don't want to send them to school. So how would you ask them to start? Kind of what should they, that somehow they're holding on to, okay, I don't know how to start kind of thing. So what will be your guidance to them?
Visit visit any learning centers and travel and meet people, like you already said. That's how we started. So I can't think of any other way. That's only basically how much ever we read, unless you experience the children who are into this, it's very difficult to convince yourself. So they may have a lot of apprehensions, which
so less about the concern. Let's say I'm not so concerned, but I'm kind of little lost. Some people ask me, do I get the school curriculum home? Where do I start, kind of a thing? So how would you guide them?
Again, as we said, following the child's interest. So you basically, I would suggest that initially, let's say a 4 or 5 year old, we equip the child with basic English and maths. That is the most basic, I feel, because even if they grow up beyond a particular point, they need to be able to read whatever they want to learn. So I feel that maths and English are core subjects which will be necessary for any child to learn anything for themselves. Okay. So how they can expose their children to English and maths, there are hundreds of ways. You don't have to have a curriculum. So that you can do enough. There are enough videos online. There is phonics, there is Montessori, a lot of different ways to try out with children.
Okay, so you're saying cover some of the basic skills while they engage in other interest-based activities. So that could be one way to start. Right, awesome. So that's what Nikitha and Sanjay possibly are doing, and also recommend if you are starting off in your journey. The same question, if you ask me, might be a little different answer. We didn't even do that much. We didn't even no maths, no science, no nothing. They learned all maths and whatever they need. They figured it out themselves. So in my case, and a lot of other children whom we work with. But obviously, as you work with them, you can decide as a family, and I think that's beautiful how they're mentioning. Finally, it's important for you as a family to decide what is important to you, and what is basic to you, and what would you like to kind of let's say build from beginning, and what you really like. He also mentioned the importance of life skills and so on. So again, it's each family's lives, and I think that is the beauty of open learning. It doesn't need to be one way or one formula or one recipe, and not just one recipe, but not just your recipe also, because it gets co-created. Your child will have his own view, you will have your own view, and the journey will constantly keep getting co-created, even to the extent the child may say tomorrow, I want to go to school, right? And yes, you may even send the child to school. So any which way is fine, right? Till you as a family are co-creating and co-traveling that journey. Good. So I think if nobody else has a question, we can pause. Anita, I think, has a question, I think.
Yeah, the thing I would like to ask is this going to create a more demand for screen time? Is the dependency on, the browsers, videos are going to increase? Because that is I'm apprehensive, kind of exposing them to, too much of videos, and do we have to set in then internet controls and parental controls on it? So how does it work?
Yeah, I think as of now, I think with YouTube is something which is a very major resource for the children to learn something. So you can actually fix how many hours. I mean, you can negotiate with the child and figure out how many hours are you comfortable with, and have a limit on it. But I don't know whether how much is enough. I mean, how much screen time is bad or good. As long as a child is able to learn something out of that particular resource, I think it is required. Screen time will be required if they are, and there are some families who are able to manage without screen time also. It depends on the perspective, each one's perspective.
Yeah, I would. Anita, how old is your child? Anita, you there? How old is your child? We are not able to hear you. Are you able to hear us? Okay, at least confirm that you are able to hear us in the chat, and maybe you can respond in the chat if there's some issue with the mic.
I face some internet issue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So could you get Sanjay's response?
Yes, I could hear.
Okay.
Them.
Yeah. So my question was, how old is your child?
My elder daughter is 10 years old and my younger son is 8 years old.
Okay, 10 and 8. Okay, awesome. So my perspective on digital usage is that it is just another resource, and it's a beautiful resource because it has like huge resource, I would say. So I'm in awe with this whole amazing resource that is available. Just like I'm in awe with any other resource, books or places or travel and so on. So I think the more important point is not how much I control or not control, but how much the child is getting on to what is the child interested in. So I would rather work on what the child is really interested in. If the child is interested in poetry, then I'll work on, I will work towards that. If the child is interested in climbing trees, then I can work on that. And then the child is, meaning I can, when I say I can work, I can support on that. So then let's say if the child is interested in doing a lot of science experiments, then I'll be with the child on that. What I'm trying to say is then the digital is just a resource, and what drives the child is not the device or a book or a person, but the child's interest. And I think that is what open learning is all about, is for the child to discover these interests as the child goes on. And at younger age, they possibly will have many more interests. And as they grow older, become 13, 14, 16, 18, 20, their interests will narrow down to few or one. And then they will still be using a lot of digital or maybe using very little. It will all depend on what is driving them. Yeah. So I think let's not look at that whether we need to control books or control resource, or sorry, digital resource, or control what. Why do we need to control anything when what really interests us is what will drive, and then everything else falls into that funnel. So I think that is how I would look and work with the child on that. My question would not be, why are you watching so much of whatever YouTube videos? I would say, what interests you, dear? Do you like cooking? Then there's so much on YouTube on cooking. Do you like whatever, geography, mapping? There's a child who loves mapping and he's on the device, creates all kinds of maps. And it's amazing. I would say for him, digital is like a big boon, right? Because it is helping him with his love for maps. So I don't know whether you've met children like that, one interested in map and one interested in football and one interested in baking and one interested in this, but when you start interacting with children, you realize that it's not the device or the resource that's a problem or an issue. It's always the interest which if you want to focus on can take the child to wherever the child wants to go. I don't know if that helps you, but that's how I would look at not get into this whole debate about good or bad, because anything, I work on laptop whole day. Is it good or bad? I don't know, but that's because that's my interest, and to me that's a non-issue.
If I could extend your point, that has become the new norm in the pandemic age, where
Absolutely.
even school children were made to sit 5 to 6 hours in the name of online classes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Against the interest of everyone. Against the interest of everyone, there was no choice. It was, yeah, it was thrusted upon. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what I can do now is it's almost 6:10. So first of all, let me thank Nikitha and Sanjay. It was so beautiful, so interesting to interact with you. And I'm sure not just people who are attended this, but people who would see the recording would benefit. So big gratitude to both of you. And what we can do is in just a minute, I can answer questions specific to Aarohi. But before that, individually, I would like both of you to say something like a closing message to all the parents here. Whatever you feel like sharing. What is coming to your mind right now?
Just follow your child and you will know what you have to do.
Yeah, I think you can observe the child and figure out you can get most of your answers through observation.
Super. That's a super advice or a super tip, whatever, super outlook, perspective, whatever. Super way, actually. So yeah, so thank you once again. So I would stay for some more time. Some of you had ROE specific questions, so I can answer those. If you guys want to hang around, Nikitha, Sanjay, you're most welcome. If you want to, carry on with other things in your life, you want to do that, that's also okay. But let me answer some of the Aarohi specific questions some people had. So please come on mic and please remind me some of your questions so that I can respond to that.
So we'll take your leave.
Sure,
Rajneesh.
sure. Thanks, Sanjay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nikitha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, see you around. Yeah. Right. Please go ahead and ask your questions. I'm there for as much time as you need.
Yes, I'm Bala. I was asking, do you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, I was asking, first 10 minutes I was not there. Maybe you could have explained it. I was trying to understand how this homeschooling or unlearning is different from the other alternative schools. Maybe J. Krishnamurti or Steiner schools. How is this different?
Okay. One way to look at it is that here there is, even in Steiner schools or even in J. Krishnamurti school, there is a curriculum that is followed. There is a class. There is still a standard that you go to. There's still teachers who are teaching you certain things. They may use other methods and ways of doing things. In open learning, none of those are there. The child is kind of deciding, and that's the key aspect, I would say, of what the child wants to do. And let me also show you a little slide that might just give you the perspective. Right, so that's the whole idea. So if you can see the slide, so on one end is the completely structured, completely curriculum driven, regular conventional school. And on the other extreme of this continuum, or the other end of this extreme, is no structure, no curriculum. The child is choosing and deciding every day or every week or every month what I want to do. And obviously the child is guided by parents, by other children, by other community members, and so on, whoever is part of your community. It could be small family, extended family, neighbors, friends, whatever, right? So I would say somewhere, possibly if you're asking me, Krishnamurti schools or Steiner schools, they would be somewhere in between, right? So that's a very broad way of putting it. But since you asked me that question, yeah, so ROE is on this end of completely open learning.
Okay, so so they can come there and stay there and learn like a Gurukul kind of a system without a guru, right?
Yes, not just the parents. It's a family who joins Aarohi. So parents also come whenever they want to come. Not like it's compulsory for anybody to come. So parent can come, both the parents can come, the child alone can come. And yes, whoever comes here, whether it's the parent or the child, everybody is coming here to do things. So we often have a joke that the spelling of Aarohi is DOING, which means everybody comes here to do. We tell children and even adults, don't learn, Just do things. When you do, you automatically learn. Whether you bake, whether you fly a kite, whether you make a rocket out of pipes and stuff like that, whether you whatever, run behind birds and animals, or whatever you want to do things. And whether you write a poem or whether you read a book, it doesn't matter. What you do will involve learning automatically. Doing automatically involves learning. So everybody comes here and they do what they want to do. So as a thing, the first thing everybody does here when they come here, or for that matter when they do open learning even at their home, is to say, okay, I want to do this today. So there could be a list of 10 things or the list of one thing, whatever. Each one will have a different list. I'll have a different list. So I'm an open learner of 52 years, and I'm sure, Bala, you are also an open learner in that sense, in the sense that you decide how you live your day. So in the same way, a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 5-year-old will decide what all I want to do during today. And then as it goes with all of us, it may go as per the plan, or it may go a little here and there, or sometimes totally down the drain, the plan will go and we will end up doing something totally different. That is life for us. Yeah. And then at the end of the day or at the end of the week, we can kind of reflect back. Hey, how was the day? How was the week? What all did I do? Did I do what I wanted to do? What I learned? Where I found problems? What is challenging? What is easy? What is difficult? And so on. And we'll together reflect, help each other, question each other, push each other, pull each other, support each other, guide each other. That's how it works. Not just in Aarohi, that works definitely. That's how Aarohi works, but also in a lot of other open learning families who are not necessarily part of Aarohi, but who are doing it at their home level.
Okay, so the parents who come there, they just visit and leave, or they are acting as the teachers there, or do you also
There
have
are no
a teacher?
teachers. There are no teachers. Zero. Or rather, everybody is a teacher. Okay. It depends on who knows what and who can teach what. A child can teach a child can teach an adult can teach a child. But there's no teacher. A YouTube can be a teacher, a book can be a teacher, the nature can be a teacher, anybody can be a teacher. It depends on the child where and how he wants to learn.
Okay, so if after 10th standard or 11th standard, if he wants to go for higher studies, then he can prepare himself, or you guys can help them to prepare for that, I don't know, some board examination, right? Is that how it happens?
Okay, so the two things. First of all, if
may get disconnected.
Sorry. Okay, so well, when it comes to what you're talking about is the 10th, 12th exam, there is first of all a big if in front of it. That is, if the child wants to give 10th and 12th. According to us, 10th and 12th or going to college is an option, right? It's not a compulsory mandatory thing that everybody has to do 10th, 12th and college. And it's perfectly all right to not do it and do things which you like doing. So if the child wants to give 10th, 12th and go to college for any specific reason, then yeah, the child will prepare for it. If another child wants to not go to 10th, 12th college and do other things, then the child will again go prepare for that. So it depends on really the child. Right. So that's how open learning, works. It isn't about 10th, 12th or anything. It's about what the child wants and what as a family you want. I think Bala has got dropped out. I think, but I think, yeah, if anybody else has a question, we can, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Hema Malini.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
I have a question here. Like, my child is into Aarohi for 1 year, and after that, like when he moves to a normal school, will he be able to cope up with it?
In most
because
cases,
it's more like a 1 year break.
Yes, we call it gap year. In most cases, yes, in fact, not most cases, at least there are a lot of children who have been to Aarohi and moved back, or done open learning and moved back to schooling at different ages, at 6 years, at 10 years, at 14, 15, 9th standard kind of thing. And at least I don't know yet a child who had like major difficulty with it. I mean, everybody faces challenges. When you transit from one thing to another, you will obviously face. Not that 9th, 10th is easy for even a school going child. Even that child needs to put in a lot of effort. So I'm not trying to discount that there won't be any effort, but there's no problem going back to the
Normal schooling.
conventional system, yeah, either at the school level or directly at the college level. You can do that also. You can go directly to a college after giving 10th and 12th through something like NIOS, which is National Institute of Open Schooling. So you can do all kinds of permutations, combinations, and yes, the regular challenges which anybody would face even in the schooling system. So I don't see any issue per se. And I've got
So
examples. If you want any time to hear, tell me to tell you stories of different ages who went back to either school or to college. I'm most happy to share those, including those stories of who never went to any school or college.
On the academics part, what contribution you will be doing to the child? As in maths, there are theorems, algebra, so many concepts.
So Hema
are
Malini,
there.
let's
I
say,
do agree the point we are not using it. 1 minute. I do agree the point we are not using it in everyday's life. But as in, if you ask me what is algebra, I'll be able to tell. That's the basic knowledge is there, right? So won't the child be missing all that?
Why do you need algebra?
Okay.
And if at all you need it, let's say at the age of 35, you realize that I need algebra, or I need trigonometry, or I need, for that matter, anything, French, you learn it at that time. Why do we need to learn everything in a certain age is the question that I want you to think about. I'm not saying I need to decide that. You need to decide it for yourself or your child, or the child needs to decide. But the question is, really, do we need to learn all of those things? Is academic really necessary? Unless you want to go to give a 10, 12 and go to college. Obviously, then academics is necessary because they made it necessary. Chitra is adding a beautiful point that do we even learn that in school? Oh yes, I don't know, a whole lot of things I never learned in school, and even if I learned, I forgot. And what's the point of forgetting them? If I ask people what is G, people say, what G? I said, you learned something called gravity. What is the value? They don't remember. And for that matter, in fact, if you go and ask people what makes summer and winter, interestingly, people who even finished post-graduation, out of 20, 19 people will give you actually the wrong answer. I'm not trying to put down the school system in any which way. I'm just saying that is one system which is doing it in one way. Good or bad, I don't know. That is for you to evaluate for yourself. But a lot of things, what is taught in school is not necessary in life. So you can, if you want an option, please go ahead and choose of not studying them.
Okay. Fine. I got your point.
Yeah.
Also, can I add one thing here?
Please, Chitra, please.
I think you had also made this point, but I've heard it many times also now in my homeschooling, unschooling, and now open learning journey. So we also do open learning as a family. But I would say that, what we, the future is going to be very different. Okay, what we need to equip our children with is not bookish knowledge of memorizing definition and stuff frankly, even Facebook has said in another 10 years, they are not going to hire any human coders. Okay. So learning, coding and all, fine. It's good if you want to develop your logic skills and all, but there are going to be no coder jobs in 10 years. Robots will do that. AI will do that. Okay. What we need to equip our children with today is the learning to learn ability. Those who know how to learn new things quickly are going to do well in the future that's coming. It's a simple fact. You got to be able to learn. You got to be able to follow your curiosity. And I think those are things that regular school simply does not equip you to do. And, fine, if you, I think there will be a lot of drone jobs available, like coding monkeys, or you want to, just like low level jobs, there will be many. But if you want a thinking job, you have to be able to learn. So I think that's the most important skill that we want to give our children, not memorizing, because everything is available at a click of a button. You don't need to memorize anything. Anything we need, we go to Google, right? Why do you need to memorize the names of all 40 rivers in India or 50 mountains in India? You don't need to. Or the distance or the things we learned in geography, remember, in our days. What we need to equip our children with is how do you learn new concepts? How do you connect the dots between concepts? How do you, integrate your learning? How do you apply things which you learn in day-to-day life? So I think that's what open learning helps you do better than traditional school, because in traditional school, there's no focus on applying your knowledge.
Okay.
That's
Thank you. Thanks.
If Chitra allows me, I'll go even one step more, and I would say it's not even important that we need quick thinkers or quick learners. I think slow learners are much better off. They can, I think 10 years later or 20 years later, maybe human relations will be far more important, and human relations don't need speed. In fact, they need us to slow down and connect with people and care for people and create communities where we are all together rather than we are trying to just outrace each other. So I'm not even sure if quick thinking is the skill that will be, because AI Chitra will ram us into quick thinking.
Maybe not speed, but I think the ability to learn, the ability
Yes,
to
absolutely.
curiosity without fear.
Yeah, ability to adapt, ability to connect, ability to
yes.
to think for yourself rather than just run. But thanks, yes, the machine will outrun us, absolutely. So we need to stop running and sit together and have a nice cup of tea.
There's no point training our children to compete with machines, right?
Absolutely.
To be able to do what they want to do.
Absolutely.
To take it to higher order.
Well said, Chitra. Yes, absolutely.
I would like to ask, where is Aarohi located, and is it open during the weekends? Can we
Okay, so Aarohi is located in a village about 60 kilometers from Bangalore, but it falls under Tamil Nadu. It is about, so about 60 kilometers from Bangalore and about 20 kilometers from a city called Hosur. It's a campus. Right now, in terms of how is it open, we have started, we started our phase 1 of reopening in January with some of our existing children who joined back. Now we are in phase 2 where we are inviting families who are considering Aarohi as a serious choice and who would like to hence come and stay here for a week and experience this. So that's the phase 2 which is currently going on. So if any one of you is seriously looking at open learning with Aarohi, we would request you to connect with me and we'll have a little more conversation, and then we can see how you can come and stay here for, let's say, a week, which is, let's say, Monday to Friday with your children, your family, and experience this place. And if you want to do a shorter visit just to know Aarohi a little bit or know open learning, we hope to open up to, you can say, more visitors in phase 3, which would be, let's say, about a month from now, end of Feb and end of March and in April. So yeah, that's how we are kind of slowly, opening up, keeping in mind the safety aspect of the pandemic situation. So again, if you're not really clear of what I was about my answer, you can always get in touch with me and I can explain to you, as we have already put the details also on the website. Did that kind of answer the question?
I got it. The thing is, can it be open during the weekends for us to get a taste of?
No, weekends no, because you can only get taste of Aarohi if you are here during weekdays, because that's when children are here, right? So it's important that you come here and stay for a few days, and I would say, yeah, then you get the real idea of how open learning works, because it's not like it's not something we have talked about it today, but we can't really talk about it too much. It has to be experienced. And perhaps Sanjay was also saying the same thing, come over, go to Aarohi and don't interact with me, please. When you come here, you see, observe children, interact with them, interact with other parents. I think that's the beauty of the whole community. And also, let me express this to you. The community is also, it's also an online community. So you don't have to come here to be part of the community. There are so many families all across India, even in Dubai and even in US, who are part of the community. So you can be part of the community, start interacting with other families. In fact, Chitra was just sharing, she stays in Punjab, her family stays in Punjab, and she's part of the community. And we keep connecting and we keep having amazing time with the whole family. right? So that's the whole idea of the community. So you can join the community online, or you can be part of the community in campus, or a combination. Different options are available for you. So you can please explore the website first, and if you do not get the answers that you're looking for, please feel free to call me. I put the website. I'll also put down my number. You can always call me. Yeah. More questions I can take. Bala, welcome back. Your device got switched off. No problem. If you need help, I can again answer your questions.
Yeah, for now, my children are going to alternative school.
Mhm.
So can I run Aarohi X in parallel? Is it going
Sure,
to be
sure.
confusing
Yeah.
for the child
I don't know.
to take it?
See, in Aarohi, there is nothing, it's open learning. There is nothing mandatory. There's nothing that you have to do this, right? In that sense, it is not like a course. It is like a community. You've joined a group of people who are doing different things, and you can be part of the community to whatever extent you want to be part of the community.
The thing is, are they going to take up the freedom, of Aarohi and then implement in their, alternative school?
I
Does that
wouldn't
happen?
I don't know.
Okay.
Right. That is something you will have to experience only to know that.
Okay.
And perhaps you would also need to ask yourself, what am I scared of? What is my anxiety? What is my concern here? And talk about that concern with your children, rather than thinking about it. Will this happen? Will that happen? I think I often tell parents, we need to come out of this life of anxiety and fear. We need to live more freely. We need to see what is right now appealing, of interest, and grab that and move from there. We are too much being conditioned to live a life of fear. What if this will happen? What if that will happen? Will he get a job? Will it this happen? I think let's just switch off all the fears and just enjoy living. That to me is open learning. It's not just about learning, it's about living, and living living with the joy which is there inside each one of us, the joy of our interest, of our doing, of our togetherness. That is how I look at it.
True. I get it.
Yeah, Bala, you wanted to.
So,
I don't know when your device got switched off. So whatever you missed out, you will have to ask me.
No, I asked about the help for students if he wants to join, the higher education later. So he can learn whatever he wants to at Aarohi. But at the time of, like, let's say after 10 years, if he wants to, when he gets that age for writing that examination, so you guys will help him to write the examination, right? Or
No.
every year,
we will not help him. You will not help him. He has to help himself. He or she has to figure out what help I need, where I need help. Maybe I have 5 subjects to crack. Maybe 3 I can crack myself. 1 I need little help. 1 I need full tutoring. And then as a community, we'll figure out who can do what, and maybe he needs to go to a professional tutor for 1 subject. Maybe for 3 things he will not need anything. I'll give you another example. My son is into football. He's 16 years old. He's playing football. He has never gone to any school. Obviously, so for his football training, the community can't give him. He has to join a club, a football club, isn't it? So he's going to a football club. So in that sense, his subject of football is being essentially taken care by his football club. And that's not part of the community. So it's not about the community. Open learning is not about Aarohi. Open learning is about the child figuring out what is it that I want to do, or what all I want to do, and who can provide. This whole world is available to me. This whole universe is available to me as a resource. Now, who can provide me that guidance, that input, that support that I need? And that the child will figure out, obviously with the help of all of us. So that way, for guidance and support, the whole community is there. But specifically, if you say that, will you help the child pass an exam? Obviously not. Now, why would anybody need to help the child pass his exam? Because the child can only figure out how to pass, or how to whatever score in the exam, and what help he or she needs.
Okay, so there won't be any subjects
No, you are getting me wrong. It is up to the child to decide what subjects he wants, whether he wants to give 10th or 12th or not, whether he wants to go to college. If he says, I don't want to give any 10th or 12th, then there are no subjects. If he says, I want to give 10th and 12th, then the first question is what subjects? And then if he chooses a subject, the next question is which one you needs help. Maybe he needs help in none, maybe she needs help in two. And what kind of help she needs? Does she need little guidance, a formal tutoring? It all depends on each child and what each child is wanting. And the community is not about some Ratnesh helping out. It's a community. All parents, all children are all there helping, supporting, guiding each other. You're not joining a school where somebody will teach the child to pass something. Open learning is just the complete opposite. The child is leading, saying, I want this, and for this, I need this help. Right? For example, there is a child, he's now around 20. He has not also given any 10, 12 or college. His name is Sahil. So he wanted to be into photography. So his help was not from any one of us. So his help was from he said, oh, how do I learn more deeper into photography? The obvious question, the obvious answer, most people said, oh, go work with a photographer. And that's what we all supported him in finding an internship with different photographers. So he worked with different photographers and different organizations which were needing help in photography or kind of helping him in photography. And that's how he learned. And now he is professionally employed with his photography. And yeah, he never went to any 10, 12 college because he didn't need it for his photography. So I'm just giving an example of anybody can need any help. And it is up to then the community can guide, but finally the child will have to figure out what help I need and who can give me that help. We are too caught up with this 10, 12 college and passing of the exams. I think we need to relook at that and why passing or scoring very high or getting a degree, right? I'm not saying anything wrong with it. I'm saying let it be the child's responsibility. It's not mine. It's not yours. It's the child's responsibility. It's his or her life.
Okay. Fine. So after 7th or 8th, if he decides that, okay, I want to be an engineer, then you guys can help him.
No, there is no you guys. We all together will see what guidance he needs.
Okay. So, right? But for the second, sorry, interrupt.
Yeah.
Can I come in between?
Sure.
Bala, want to tell you, there are, sorry to mention this, Ratnesh, yeah. I think this is not that forum for that, because if you Google, you will find boards and you will find a lot of resources, how you can do a parallel schooling, which is what I am doing. From this, I purely understand, because my son, we have taken him from a regular school after his 5th, and last 3 years he is not going to a regular school, but he went to an alternate school that doesn't come under any board, but still that was a kind of a formal school. And now we have taken him off from that also, and we are just privately tutoring him, and he is also into getting coached for entrance exams for All India Engineering. You people can make it out what I'm saying. So we are not into homeschooling. This is not what I'm doing is homeschooling. We are doing a parallel schooling. We fall in between what Ratnesh is doing and Ratnesh community is doing and the regular school. We are kind of in between. Okay, so we have seen the regular school and we are not contented with that. So, and we have seen the shortcomings, and hence we took this conscious decision. If you want, I can connect with you offline, and I can, if you are very concerned about boards, there are boards which can support you, which are very much valid and recognized globally also, which will take care. But support is something that parents has to take a call. Maybe Ratnesh community can help, from my limited understanding, can help, but major role is played by the parents and the child.
Absolutely.
In terms of supporting, because this is kind of a homeschooling. When you say it's kind of a, you do a degree from a distance learning program. Same is just a case with, there are boards where you can study from home. That is kind of a distance schooling. Yeah. There are
Okay.
boards which are globally recognized, and in India there are boards. There are a couple of them I know, which are very well recognized and which allows the student to take subjects as per his or her interest. And I can connect with you offline.
Sure. Thanks, Hare Krishna, for that. Yeah.
You can take
Okay.
my number from Ratnesh. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Bala, did that kind of overall, have we kind of addressed your questions, or you can ask more? Please don't hesitate at all.
Okay. Okay. I actually was trying to find out, his question, his answer really helped me. But I was thinking, if a kid is going only to this homeschooling, not the mainstream or the alternative school, but okay, fine. If I'm interested in photography, I'm learning photography and all those things. But after a few years, I mean, like every year the kid has to get some interest, no, some taster for physics or chemistry or anything, so that he can figure out whether he is interested in that subject or not. If I'm not involving in other schools, is there a possibility for him to taste different things?
Right. So that is exactly what happens in open learning. The child tastes whatever interests him. It could be drumming, it could be cooking, it could be physics. Who knows? What is the child's interest? Everything is beautiful. Every profession is beautiful. We don't go to A.R. Rahman and say you are one hobby extracurricular person. No. He's as beautiful as a software guy. So it's not about maths or physics or chemistry. That is not life. I don't live a chemistry life. I live a life which I like doing. I do things which I like doing. So it's about the child exploring different things till the child till the child finds what interests him, and it could be one interest or it could be multiple interests. And then the child takes that further and sees how and when and where the child wants to, in what form the child wants to convert that into let's say a vocation, or something where he or she earns some money, if that is what the child wants to earn. So it really is about each child deciding for their life. It's not about anything else. It's not about any subject. It's not about any curriculum. That kind of a system already exists. And if you're really keen on the child getting good marks and good tutoring, I would say please stay with the conventional system, because that's exactly what it does. And it does it well in many places. So I would say then open learning is not the thing that we should look for. If you're looking at open learning, we should realize that we are actually telling the child, go ahead, live your life, find your own interest, and then find your own pathways of how you can fulfill those interests. So that is how I would look at open learning.
Okay, thank you.
It's actually about believing in child and letting the child lead, while we are all together with the child, supporting him or her.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay. Does anybody else have a question specific to Aarohi? I can answer that.
Ratnesh, Hare Krishna here. So
yeah,
you were mentioning about opening Aarohi, and there was another participant whose specific request was is Aarohi open on weekends, especially to have a taste. So during the month of April, when you are opening phase 3, even during that time, during weekends, it may not be conducive.
No. Weekends, the children are not here, most of the children.
Okay.
Let me explain you how it works. So the children who, because we are closer to Bangalore, a number of our children come from Bangalore and they go back to Bangalore. So they come typically on Mondays and they go back on Fridays. So Saturday, Sunday, in that sense, Aarohi is closed. Some children are from other cities like Chennai, Coimbatore, Mumbai, Delhi, or whichever city it may be. Those children only stay here on the weekend, and they're also having a weekend. They're also relaxing on the weekend or doing whatever else they feel like doing. So Saturday, Sunday, Aarohi is closed. And if you want to experience Aarohi, yeah, you will have to come on a weekdays, I would say, not even a day, weekdays, stay here, see how the whole community is working, doing different things. Each child is doing different things. Each day is different. Each day is different for each child because each child has different agendas. And that experience is very unique, and I cannot talk about it enough. It has to be experienced. And then you can take typically we say, if you're really interested, come and stay for a week, because then you will get a real idea, and then you can take a call.
So would that mean the people would be lesser during the vacations as well, falling in April or
April is not vacation for us.
Okay, so we can still come down.
Oh, yes, yeah, we don't have any vacation in April.
Okay.
We are fully working on now March and April.
How about May?
As of now, we haven't decided for May this year. Every year we actually close in May. So that May is a summer holiday for us, 1 month. But this year we haven't still decided, so I'm not able to tell you either ways. Because of this whole last year being locked down and all that, we are still thinking what to do.
Okay.
But June definitely will be open. So it's just the May which I'm not able to commit to you right now. So you can maybe in some time, maybe when we start phase 3, by that time we'll be able to decide. But most probably we'll be closed. We will also take a month's break and then restart from June.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions? To whoever is there now, let me reinforce that we are all the time available for you to call us, talk to us, discuss with us in detail. Whether you want to be part of Aarohi or not, that's not important. But if you want to have any questions about open learning, whether you're doing it from your home or with a group of your own, or you want to be part of Aarohi, any which way, we are there to, at least we are there to give you whatever support and guidance we can offer. Right? So please feel free to call us and connect with us for anything related to open learning, unschooling, homeschooling, and obviously Aarohi. So yeah, the website is there, my number is there. Please feel free to connect with us. Right, so if I'm assuming right now, maybe you need time to kind of process all these questions and answers. So maybe we can pause this webinar here. And as I said, with the promise that you can attend, you can connect with us anytime.
Have you shared your number, Atnish? I don't see it in the chat.
Oh, it's there. It's the last thing in the chat. Okay. Oh, okay. Maybe it went as a private message to one of the persons. Wait. Let me share again. Yeah, that's the website and that's my number. If you're more comfortable with WhatsApp, then let me share another number. That's my wife and colleague, Aditi. That's her number. If you prefer WhatsApp, if you prefer calling, just call me directly.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome. Right, so thank you everybody, and thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected. Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks for
Thank
this.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.